So I want to talk about the Acclaimed, and they're actually looks like they're actually planning to reunite. And I do want to say that it's really, really unfortunate how AEW has used them, and I really think they should get back together, and they should be exactly like the New Day. And what I mean by that is that with the New Day, they were tag team champions for a while, and then they also supported Kofi Kingston becoming the WWE champion. And that's also really important because there are tag teams in professional wrestling where one of the tag team partners will go after a singles title while they still remain a tag team. And that's important because that is realistic to real life. Not every tag team is going to be in the tag team division. Sometimes there are wrestlers that branch off into other things. The same way in life, if there was like tag team boxing, like I know that doesn't exist, but there's tag team boxing, whatever. There'd be people who want to go after, like personal, other divisions as well, really, do double duty. There are people who like to do double duty and triple duty. That's true to life. So I like that aspect. I like the AEW does that with their wrestlers where they don't wrestle as one unit, as in one for one title. Sometimes they hold multiple titles because that's true to real life, really. But there does become a point, when I look at the Acclaimed, where I do feel like, they've done a lot of wrong by them. So when they come back together, I want them to be like the New Day where, Bowens achieves dreams of holding a singles title and being a tag team champion as well, really. Just like Bandito. But they've done a lot of wrong by them. And I do want to talk about, Max Caster. That, first of all, this whole entire Best Wrestler Alive thing is bad because he's been losing every single match. And just like with Harley Cameron, I really think that there's a lot that you can do with Max Caster, and they're not utilizing him. They're just throwing him into his dumb comment. Like I said before, imagine if he actually was a legitimate wrestler winning matches, and then he beat Bandito for the ROH title. Or imagine if, he was kind of like a joke, fuck around comedy wrestler, and then he had a match with Kyle Fletcher for the TNT title, and then what happens is Kyle Fletcher beats the shit out of him, and Anthony Bowen saves Max Caster because he's like, he's still like a little brother to him almost, So he kind of does that, and then he goes after Kyle Fletcher's TNT championship. There's stories, there's layers to something that you can do, and I've even said this before that if you did a couple month feud between Max Caster and Anthony Bowens. Imagine how they would be both pay-per-view single stars. They feud with each other. You had an outcome, and then they won as singles titles. Or as I said, I would have booked it this year where you've had Max Caster versus Anthony Bowens, and then you had a feud in story. Then you led to Anarchy in the Arena with Anthony Bowens and the team in the winning team's group, really. And then you end the year with Anthony Bowens becoming the AEW TNT champion or something like that. So I really think that, with Max Caster, they kind of almost like this Best Wrestler Live thing, this whole entire silly goofy stuff. It hurts him because he's losing every single match. It shows that he doesn't take it seriously, and he's just there to fuck off, really. The next thing is I want to talk about Anthony Bowens. I think he's more of a tragedy because the thing about him is that he's LGBTQ, and just like with Nyla Rose, you can create a lot of headlines with, both these wrestlers, because obviously they're upfront about their sexual orientation. So with Bowens losing all the time, really, and having no direction, that's bad. And then the next thing is that his debut match was a dark match. His debut match was a pre-show match on Dynasty, when he should have been on the card, really, because most people don't watch the before the pay-per-view. Many people don't, because it's the pay-per-view is already long, so why should I watch another 2 hours of something that's way too long? The next thing on top of that is on top of that, you have him beat Max Caster, a person who's been losing all the time. So what does that mean? And then he proceeds to lose many matches. He lost against Takeshita. He had his best match ever with him. He lost against Swerve Strickland. And he lost against other people. He's almost in that boat of, he's almost like the Don Callis family, where he's supposed to lose at a certain time. He can't win against certain people, or certain people that you want to get over, really. So I think with Anthony Bowens, he really never got a shot to receive the right booking, really. And I think that's very unfortunate because I think there's a lot of potential in him. And I think he needs more opponents like Josh Alexander or Takeshita or a couple other, or even like, he has a match with Chris Jericho or Dustin Rhodes or another veteran. Or even like Jeff Jarrett, like some like other people who are more experienced who kind of would be like, okay, let's just do this a lot more. Or if you put him in Ring of Honor and say he does double duty like Bandito, he's in Ring of Honor, building some momentum, trying to go after maybe Nick Wayne's title. And then he's also on AEW Collision, maybe main eventing some shows, like really trying to build him. But they didn't do anything with that. And ultimately it's bad because really when you look at an AEW pay-per-view, the Acclaimed is a huge draw, really. And even if you look at Blood and Guts last year, like one thing that really broke my heart, and the one reason why I'll never ride Delta Airlines again unless it's a necessity, is because my flight got delayed 13, 14 hours, and I missed the Blood and Guts show, really, because I would have wanted to see the Acclaimed in Blood and Guts, really. And I'll never ride Delta Airlines because they fucked that up for me. But yeah, they were such a draw. The other thing was that the reason why I started to travel to so many professional wrestling shows in the first place because I wanted to see the Acclaim actually win the tag team titles, and they did do that in a Grand Slam, really. So it's almost like if there's such the draw, people get over with Max Caster's controversial raps. If you really want to make the identity of this company TV-14, and that's another thing I'll talk about in just a minute, you need to push the Acclaimed, really. So it's bad that you take these pay-per-view level guys and their tag teams pay-per-view level, and also you don't book them as single stars that well, really, and they really have no drawing power. I don't think they even had both of them have not had a pay-per-view match, really. In the past couple of months, really. The only thing that you ever did with them was put them on all in, and they were just there in the in that match, that Casino Cash-In match. And then Anthony Bowens, he wants to be a star. You don't really believe he's going to win because he always loses. He always loses everything. And then Max Caster's a joke wrestler, so he actually made that match look bad, really. Why would you put a joke wrestler in that? It would be the same thing as if you had the Royal Rumble and you had Santino Marella come out at number 31, really. Why would you do that? The other part of it is, like I've said about the Acclaim, they're a TV-14 tag team because Max Caster has a controversial raps. It gets attention. If he says things that cross lines, really, that's what AEW is about. AEW is TV-14. That is the biggest drawing power of AEW. WWE is TV-PG. AEW is TV-14. So if you want a TV-14 wrestler, you have Max Caster cross lines with his raps. And he's unapologetic, really. And as I said, when you had them in the beginning of AEW, that really did a lot for business, really. And it's almost like, for some stupid-ass reason, they got away from that. And I also will say that I think one of my concerns was that he did that rap against Okada last year, and he said lines like, I'm going to kill you, like Okada, like the Young Bucks killed Okada's career, and he's calling Okada a bitch multiple times. So I kind of wondered the Young Bucks or people backstage said, okay, you know what, this is a little too edgy for this, or oh well, we got our feelings hurt, or oh well, maybe Okada or other people got pissed off, really. And if they got roasted and they got pissed off, fuck them, because there's something really special with them. So I really just think that and I hate saying this, if the Acclaimed, if they're really going nowhere in the next year or whatever the contract is, they should go to WWE, because I know there'll be big stars there. Or they should go to TNA Wrestling, where I think that WWE would notice them. But as the old saying goes, if AEW is not making new stars, or AEW has some stars and I'll list it, like Dalton Castle, the Acclaimed, John Morrison, Brody King, who's kind of lost in the shuffle, really. Powerhouse Hobbs, Takeshita, and there's many other ones as well, really, like Harley Cameron. They have so many people that could be big stars, but they suffer from really, really shitty booking and stuff like that, really. So it's ultimately like the old saying goes, can we just, fix these people, or else they're gonna just do what Mariah May did and other people did, which is just roll the dice on WWE. Like Ricky Starks is doing. And like as I said with Ricky Starks, and other people in WWE, the only reason why they're giving them titles is just to say, hey, AEW can't make you a star. We're gonna have a little bit of we're gonna give you some pieces of AEW on WWE television to make it look like to take away some of the WWE crowd, take some away the AEW crowd. So I just think that they really, really just had to fix a lot of things with AEW, and I totally I totally appreciate, and I totally think that's important. Really, it's very bad that they fucked up the Acclaimed. They need to get them back together, and they also need to realize too that again, Anthony Bowens could be the AEW champion with the right booking, the right story, and with the right single title feuds. And Max Caster could be the ROH champion, or he could wrestle for singles titles as well. Really, there's so many things that they can do to elevate them and make them pay-per-view worthy and make money off of them. Really, but they've really dropped the ball on the Acclaim. Fuck AEW for that, and fuck Tony Khan for that, because you don't take people with potential, and you don't kind of give them the wrong direction, really. So that's not good on AEW. That's the first time I've ever said fuck Tony Khan, really, but fuck him for that, because they both have a lot to give, really, and you just can't fuck with that, because as I said, they go to WWE and WWE can treat them right, but then say, okay, the stipulations Max Caster has to be PG, and we got to have PG Max instead of AEW Max where he's TV-14, really. So hopefully they do right by the Acclaim coming back together as a tag team.